I would like to make the argument for the necessity of a new kind of Islamic geometric design education, because what is currently being offered is insufficient both in its applicability, its accessibility, and its usefulness. As with many traditional arts and crafts traditions, Islamic geometric design is rightly seen as being under threat. The traditional societal structures that for centuries enabled the transfer of knowledge have changed. There are different economic realities that necessitate craftsmen who work in this tradition to manufacture work that is of a lesser quality than it was in previous centuries. The instinctive response to this has been to try and preserve these skills so they don't get lost to the world. But preservation is not the same as reinvigoration, and it is for the latter that I want to make a case. When we look at what we now consider to be masterpieces of Islamic geometric design, such as the dome of the funerary complex of Sultan Qaitbay in Cairo, or the tomb of Abd al-Samad in Natanz in Iran, we can identify some of the elements that make these monuments so exceptional. The levels of skill on display, of course, are exceptional. What binds these and many other masterpieces is that their design, their overall concept was innovative. The designer made something that had not been made before. Geometric compositions were innovative, the juxtaposition of different visual elements was innovative. The designer felt empowered to make something that had not been seen before. These buildings are the product of a creative, innovative ethos that has characterized Islamic geometric design from the dawn of Islamic visual culture. As early as the 9th century, the Umayyad summer palace of Ghirbat al-Mafjar shows evidence of craftsmen innovating the visual idioms of Roman mosaic floor design and presenting something familiar in a new way. This ethos of innovation is, by and large, no longer there. That connection with the past broke when traditional societies changed. The opportunity or demand for excellence in Islamic geometric design has gradually disappeared, or at least the definition of excellence in this context has changed. The dominant educational curriculum for Islamic geometric design has for over 30 years been offered by what is now called the Prince's School for Traditional Arts. They have been attracting students to London for a long time, including myself. I spent 1 year there. They also have outreach programs in the Middle East. Part of their educational philosophy places an emphasis on what has been lost with the advent of modern society. The world of traditional art is divided in modern and pre-modern. In this philosophy, pre-modern is good, because the structure of traditional societies allowed craftsmen to be connected to their creator, and in so doing make good art. In contrast with this, modern Western society and all that it has brought is considered in negative terms, because, for example, scientific discourse gets in the way of experiencing life spiritually, and in so doing inhibits the making of good traditional art. Islamic geometric design is seen as emanating from the heavens, with the craftsmen as spiritual conduits. In this context, creative innovation is seen as hubris, because why try and improve what is already perfect? Similarly, why use computer-aided design when computers are a product of the Western scientific discourse that is responsible for the demise of pre-modern societies? This is the dichotomous world students who want to get a formal education in Islamic geometric design currently need to enter. Because this educational approach presents all Islamic geometric design as religiously and spiritually inspired, the historical context is treated as an irrelevance. Whether a pattern or geometric composition was made by a Mamluk craftsman in 15th century Cairo or by an Ilkhanid craftsman in 13th century Tabriz is not considered. Of course, there is no law against ahistorical art education, and if students want to learn about Islamic geometric design in a spiritual context, they are well provided for by the Prince's School of Traditional Arts. However, the reverence and awe in which Islamic geometric design in this kind of educational system is held inhibits the kind of creativity that is needed to reinvigorate this tradition. Students dare not try anything new. Students don't know if the pattern they are making is from Cairo or Marrakesh. All creative energies are spent on recreating patterns, compositions, and traditional methods of embellishment. Most of the work that is made is a type you can frame and hang on the wall. In other words, art, but not so much applied design or architecture. That is why there is a need for a new kind of curriculum for Islamic geometric design. One that enables students to develop skills that will enable them to make a living in this field. one that enables students to develop an understanding of the historical development of Islamic geometric designs. It enables them to choose designs that connect to a regional heritage. An understanding of the historical development shows how this design tradition evolved through creative courage and innovation. An awareness of this will enable students from the Middle Eastern countries or with a Middle Eastern heritage to better understand their own place in this process. It will also show that innovation is an essential part of the heritage of Islamic geometric design, and they should feel free to try new things. However, you have to know the rules before you can break them. A new design curriculum needs to look much more closely at historical best practice. What rules did craftsmen always adhere to? What makes an innovative composition still recognizable as being part of a design tradition? The only reliable evidence that we have are the geometric compositions themselves. For the last 100 years at least, Islamic geometric design has stagnated. The solution is not to wish for a different world, nor is it just to merely try and preserve it. The solution is to give it new relevance for a new generation of artists, designers, and architects who are developing their skills using mostly digital design technologies. Architects and designers want to use Islamic geometric design in their work, but often don't know how. The patterns they use are the ones they can find online. Copy and paste solutions are sought. However, there are hundreds of patterns and compositions still extant on buildings across the Middle East, Iran, India, North Africa, Afghanistan, Pakistan, etc. We should be documenting these, placing them in an historical context and timeline, looking how they were used in different media, to different scales. At the moment, a formal education in Islamic geometric design is only available to students who can afford to live in London for 2 years, or Europe for that matter, and who do not have an issue with studying this subject in a philosophically dogmatic context. However, what is there for an architecture student in Bangladesh who wants to learn about Islamic geometric design? Or an industrial design student in Kuala Lumpur? How can they learn? Nowadays, young people expect to find any and all information online. They use social media to engage with like-minded people, regardless of location, background, or religion. This new environment creates new educational opportunities. There is a need for an alternative educational curriculum for those who want to learn how to practically use Islamic geometric design. This visual tradition plays such a central role in Islamic art and architecture, and it lends itself so well for application using new design and manufacturing technologies. Opportunities for the reinvigoration of this design tradition are not being seized because there is no formal education that enables it. I propose the establishment of a school of Islamic geometric design that offers education, documentation, and research. There is a need for it. The school will offer online education, it will visit universities and colleges, it will teach teachers, it will create classroom materials. Please support me in making this a reality. Thank you.